Swiss Gold Global, independent business owner, network marketing training number 39 on this beautiful Thursday morning. No, sorry, Wednesday morning. Today's Wednesday. What am I thinking? Thursday.
Yeah.
My gosh. Today's Wednesday, October 1st, the very first day of the fourth quarter of 2014. And so if you haven't gotten anything accomplished this year, it's time to get off your duff. Make something happen. You got 3 months left, and it's going to be a whole nother year gone by. Good morning, John. What do you got to say about all that?
Uh, just unbelievable how quickly time flies. And you know what? It's a new start of a new month, start of a new quarter. And if you haven't done anything yet this year to bring yourself closer to whatever your definite major purpose is or whatever your goals are, now would be the time to take some action and let's close out this year the best way possible by taking massive action and kicking some ass. That's what I have to say about that.
Speaking some bootay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, let's see here. Today's Wednesday, so today is all about passive income.
Passive Income Wednesdays.
That's right. Well, I got three taglines. On Mondays I create my life. On Wednesdays I'm all about passive income, and on Fridays it's all about financial freedom, baby. Or maybe it's just maybe it's
So
just freedom. I don't know, one of the two.
every single day of the week, you'll notice I'm always the real wealth advocate. And after all, isn't that why we are part of Swiss Gold Global? Because we have the ability to save our phony, fictitious paper dollars that are value by decree and convert that into a real tangible asset like gold and silver. I'm also very heavily into real estate, so I believe in hard, tangible assets. Hence, I'm a real wealth advocate. So that's the tagline I use every day. And I hadn't actually noticed that you switch it up, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and what you just said about the value by decree of the U.S. dollar is probably has a lot to do with why most Americans die with less than $1,000 in their bank account. You know, you work hard all your life, and that's not because, I actually told this to somebody. I forget who it was, but they had a very funny response to it, which is actually, an awesome response if this is exactly what a person did. But that's not where this statistic comes from. This statistic comes from the fact that by the time people get to through their life and complete their life, that they basically have nothing. They're broke, is what the statistic really means. The funny thing that my friend said, first thing out of his mouth was, "Well, sounds like they did it just right then." Which, hey, if you built great wealth and you get to retirement, you got plenty of money, and you work it out, and you enjoy your retirement, and you have a great time for 5, 10, 15, 20 years or whatever it is that you live, and it turns around that you're down to less than $1,000 and you pass away. Yeah, you're darn right, you did it just right. But like I said, that's not where the statistic comes from. It comes from the fact that most Americans, probably over 90, 95% of them, actually died dead ass broke because they got less than $1,000 in their bank account because they worked their whole life and it took them nowhere.
Yeah. And I'd say if you end up dying with 1,000 in your bank account, did you do it right? You got to ask your question, because most people, when they pass away, they leave someone behind, right? Whether it's they may have children, grandkids, great grandkids, maybe some family. If they don't have children, they have a brother or a sister or maybe a spouse. To me, you shouldn't. I know your friend was being funny, but it just got me thinking that you didn't do it right if you were able to just bleed every last penny and that's all you're left with. You should, my opinion, people should be striving to leave behind a legacy. To their loved ones, or even if you're alone in this world and you've got no one to leave your legacy to, maybe there's a charity or something that fills your life with a purpose, and you can leave your assets to that cause when you pass away. I want to throw in one more little thing because you know the answer to this, Paul, because I've asked you this before, so don't jump right in. This is more of a rhetorical question. This goes along with what you talked about with, you know, most Americans when they leave this world have less than $1,000 in the bank. Do you know how many checks the average construction worker collects when they retire?
I actually just told a guy what that was. I actually just told a guy what that was yesterday. The guy delivering my firewood.
The average construction worker will collect 13 checks when they retire, which means they're dead within 13 months after retirement, and they only ever get to collect 13 of their Social Security or pension checks. And there's a reason for that, and we can get into that a little bit today before we get into the time management system. But I think the reason for that, because that got me thinking, why is that? Why only 13 checks? Is that why are we on these calls every morning? Because we're trying to expand our minds, be open, and learn and grow. And most people who work a job throughout their entire lives, their lives are consumed with trading time for money. And when they do finally come to the end of that road and have a little something to retire on and they stop working, well, they have no purpose anymore. And they have not been in the habit of learning and growing and expanding. And what do we say? You know, what's said is that when you're not learning, you're dying. And it's actually more real and true than most people realize. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, you know, a perfect example of that. Like I said, I told the guy that delivered my firewood yesterday that that statistic you just said about the 13 months, and the reason that that conversation came up is because I took my wife to the hospital to get a blood test yesterday, and happened to see him sitting at the hospital, and needed him to come by and exchange out a few pieces of wood and whatnot. So he came by. But so when he came by, we were talking, and I was asking him why he was there, and he was doing the same thing, just getting a blood test and getting himself checked out and all that. And but he was saying that like the purpose, the reason what drove him to go there was the fact that a good buddy of his, who just recently passed away, was a police officer for a lot of years, and you know, the guy had an early retirement. He was ready to retire at 52, and the guy retired, and I mean, like within months, he was dead. And
Yeah.
he didn't get into the reason why. I don't know if it was just, you know, a strange medical condition or whatever that just happened to have poor timing. But this guy, you know, he was talking about, this guy was even, you know, the fact that he was pretty well set up, you know, with financially and everything else, and ready to enjoy his retirement at 55 years old, and then here he is passing away. And so, yeah, it just goes to show you that, like you said, and that doesn't necessarily go and coincide with what you were saying, but I will expand on that and say that, yeah, you know, the whole thing is like John said, you work your whole life, and you don't, you know, and you're just, you know, you're just a workaday person. I mean, that's it. You go to work, you do your thing, you have your family life things that you do, you take care of your kids, etc. And so on. They grow up, they go off to school, they're out of your life. You're still working. It's just you and the wife now, if you're still married, unless you don't get a divorce. And you know, the next thing you know, it's time to retire. And like John says, you haven't expanded your brain matter in any way, shape, or form. And so, you know, for who knows how many years, you've really been, you know, slowly dying. And now that you have nothing to keep you going, which that being your job, because as it turns out, really, what it all comes down to is the fact that your job's the only thing that was keeping you alive in the first place, because it gave you a reason to get up in the morning. You know, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with your job being your reason to get up in the morning, because you want to get up in the morning, go to your job so that you can support your family and live your life and all that. I mean, but isn't there something more out there? Don't you want something more out there? Okay, see you in a bit, man.
Go get my big boob squeeze.
There you go. All right.
How long it will be? Probably a half hour.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you know, that's the whole thing right there, is getting the fact that you know, you want to have, if you have a purpose in life, when it comes time to you retire from your job, you still have something that drives you to keep you going, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point I think we're trying to make here.
Right. I think that the point I'm trying to make out of all this is how critically important it is to not only your success, but I would even venture to say your mental and physical and spiritual health and well-being. How critically important it is that you have a definite major purpose in life. And as we've talked about over the last several months with our mentor Jeff Fagan on the Street Smart Success calls that we do before we do these hangouts, is that if you do not have a definite major purpose, you should be spending a minimum of 20 minutes a day in meditation trying to figure out what that definite major purpose is. And once you have that figured out, then it's about creating the plan and then working towards that goal or purpose every day of your life. And I just want to throw in one more thing to what Paul said about if you're working a job that you absolutely love, let's say, you're trading your time for money, but it's a job that you love, that's okay. But, when it comes time to retire, I think, for me anyways, I know that if I'm not learning and growing every day, then I'm stagnant. I'm dying a little bit. So I think it's important that you have a definite major purpose, and it should be more than just whatever it is you're doing for your income. It should encompass you as a whole being, your financial freedom, your spiritual freedom, your mental freedom, and your physical freedom. I think it's very important that people have a definite major purpose in their lives that encompass all of those realms, because it leads to happiness and success. And when I talk about being successful, I'm talking about all those realms of life, not just the financial. So with that being said, is it time to move into our next kind of topic here, Paul?
I think this is our next topic, but I want to just go into saying that you're never too old either. That's one thing.
Yep.
A lot of people, you get beyond 30 sometimes, 35, 40, even 50. People just feel like they're so set in their ways, and life, it is just what it is, and it's too late for them. It's never too late. There's there's a great little saying that I heard the other day that something about you can't change the beginning, but you can always change the ending, or something like that. You just have to start today. You know what I mean? Something like that. So anyway, what I was just getting at was the fact that it doesn't matter. You can open your eyes and decide to make a change in your life at any point in time, and it doesn't matter when you start. You're not going to maybe get as far as you hoped because you have less time than if you would have started when you were 20 years old. But hey, so what? You're going to get somewhere better than where you're headed right now, and that's really what it's all about. That's really kind of like the driving force that we're trying to express to people and help people with Swissquote Global, giving them the opportunity to do something a little bit different, add a little something to their life, something that they can do with very small investment of both money and time, especially in the beginning, and to begin to give themselves an enhancement to their life, instead of just ending up where fate is basically going to take you. So with that, I also kind of wanted to just hit real quickly on the definite major purpose that John was talking about. And if you don't really understand what a definite major purpose is, there's kind of two things that people talk about. One's definite major purpose, and one is chief aim. And most people, most things that you'll see or hear kind of combine these into the same thing. I separate them myself. For me, a chief aim is more of an immediate, the most immediate need, desire, or want. And I would call that something like, okay, say if I have an immediate need or immediate desire to improve my relationship with, my family, with my wife or my kids or whatever, something like that. that could be my initial chief aim, or maybe my initial chief aim is, I need to, the thing that I really have to have in life right now as quickly as possible is I need to be making an extra, I need to be earning an extra $300 a month, say, or $500 a month, say, or whatever it is. That could be your chief aim. Whatever. So, like I said, whatever your most immediate, and then your chief aim is going to change, obviously. If my chief aim right now is to make an extra $500 a month, and I achieve that, I might reevaluate, and I might say, you know what, my chief aim right now that I've achieved that, and I feel comfortable in this area. Now my chief aim is to work on my body physically. I want to be, physically strong and healthy. So that's my next chief aim. So your chief aim, I think, is going to change. It's a more immediate, direct, the next thing that you feel like you have to accomplish to work yourself towards your definite major purpose. Now, your definite major purpose to me is your ultimate goals in life and in your entire life, and what you want to do in your whole life. And for me, the best way, I think, to really kind of define what your chief aim is, especially if you're having trouble understanding the concept or figuring out what it is, or what you want your chief aim to be. And I do agree with John that it's tied to creating a legacy. But think of after you pass away, and you're at your funeral. You're standing in the corner as a ghost, and you're listening to the eulogy and what people say about you. And what do you want people to be saying at your eulogy? What type of person were you? What sort of relationships did you have, personally, business-wise, casually? What sort of achievements and successes did you have? What sort of obstacles did you have to overcome in life to have all these things? And like I said, most importantly is, what sort of legacy did you leave behind? What have you left behind that future generations can, partake in, enjoy, expand upon, all of those things, learn from and experience, So that's really, what is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want people to be saying about you after you pass away? And that really, to me, that's like your definite major purpose, is what it's going to take for you to become that person. And it's never too late to start becoming that person. Like I said, maybe you won't get 100% there, but you'll be a whole lot closer than maybe you are right now. So that's, I just wanted to throw with that, John, and go ahead and take this wherever you want to go now.
I absolutely love the fact that you kind of differentiated right there between a definite chief aim and a definite major purpose. I'd like to share with you, I'm not going to read my entire thing, but just to give an example to kind of show where the clarification is between your aim and your purpose. As Paul pointed out, the definite chief aim is basically like your short-term, immediate, maybe goal or something that you're working towards, which is bringing you closer to what your overall purpose is in life. And I'm just going to kind of give people an example, because maybe there's a lot of people out there that haven't given this much thought, and this can point people in the direction of, okay, I get what these guys are talking about. I'm just going to take a minute and share mine. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically, my definite chief aim is to make millions of dollars as an owner of multiple business systems, and make millions of dollars more through investing the money I make from my businesses. My definite chief aim is to make millions of dollars through real estate and network marketing in order to become financially free. That's my aim, to make millions of dollars. But the reason I want to make that money is really to fulfill my purpose, which is my purpose is to expand my mind and core being through education, experience, prayer, and deep consideration. And my purpose in life is to be in a position to help and inspire others through philanthropy, acts of charity, teaching, and training, so that I am in a position to have a positive impact on humanity and affect change in the world. In addition to that, my purpose in life is to create a family legacy that is multi-generational and teach my kids the importance of that legacy and pass on my assets, wealth, and knowledge to my children, who will in turn pass it on to their children. So you can kind of see from my little example there, is that my aim of becoming financially free and making $1 million is so that I can use that financial freedom and that money in order to fulfill my purpose, which is to help others, inspire others, be able to be in a position to have an impact positive on the world and leave behind a family legacy. So I just wanted to point out, as Paul mentioned, the clarity between your aim and your overall purpose. And it's, again, reiterate there that what your purpose is in life is your driving factor behind everything. And I see we're coming up at the 20-minute mark, but that's kind of where I just want to expand on and throw in on what Paul said. And I'm going to toss it back to Paul and let him close out this call with his final thought and the Napoleon Hill prayer.
Yeah, you know what? Bravo, that was awesome. Very clear separation there, and very grand aspirations. I'll add to that as well too. And I just want to point out to people that, you know what, John has a big major purpose in his life to do great things for the world. You don't necessarily have to have such a big definite major purpose. Your definite major purpose could simply be to get be able to just take care of your family. You're maybe not just even your immediate family, maybe your entire family. Maybe you come from a very, very poor family that's never really had any opportunity whatsoever, or thought they didn't. And you're kind of like the breakout person of this family, and maybe your definite major purpose is simply to enhance the lives of everyone closest to you. I mean, you don't have to have grand plans of changing the world. You can just change a little piece of the world, and that's basically what kind of your definite major purpose is. So whatever little piece of the world you want to plan to change as your definite major purpose, get a chief aim that's going to get you a step closer to doing that. And that's pretty much I guess our message for the day. Get a chief aim and figure out what your definite major purpose is. And with that, we're going to close this out with the Napoleon Hill prayer, which goes, "O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches I was given at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever ends I might desire." All right, guys, thanks very much for being here. And we didn't even get into the money management system, which is where we're going to go today, but maybe we'll do that tomorrow. All right, we're out. Have a great weekend, or have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.